Creative Brain Candy by creators for creators.
You're listening to Simply Stogies, a monthly podcast dedicated to the cigar enthusiast. Light up a stogie, sit back and relax while James brings you along on his journey as a new cigar smoker. Simply Stogies will review cigars, discuss topics that cigar aficionados find important, and will probably learn a few things along the way. Now, here's your host of Simply Stogies, James.
Welcome to Simply Stogies. I am your host, James. Today is episode 51. Thank you so much for listening in. We are live-ish at the Drawing Room QC in Davenport, Iowa. We're here with two of the owners, Eric Norton and Shale Sage. Guys, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to be talking about the Drawing Room. We're going to talk about how that came about. We're going to talk about how both of these guys got into cigars and kind of what they bring to the community here in Davenport, which is sorely needed a cigar community for a very long time. So we're excited about that. But before we get into that, make sure you go to creativebraincandy.com and check out the great family of podcasts and streamers we have there, including Eyes Forward March. Eyes Forward March is a podcast from Tim, who you might know from Cigars and Coffee. If you are an NCO in the military or you're getting ready to transition out of the military, this is a podcast for you. They cover everything that you're going to need to know, and they do it in a fun and entertaining way. So check out Sergeant Cigar and Sergeant Bacon on Eyes Forward March. And I'm done shilling. That's all. That's it. So again, Eric and Shale, welcome to the podcast. So let's start with how you guys got into cigars to begin with. Eric, we'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. I smoked my first cigar when I was 18. At the time, I was going to a local community college here in Davenport, and my cousin and I would walk around the mall, North Park Mall in Davenport. And at that time, there was a little small tobacconist shop, Baker Street Cigars. And we were 18. We walked in, and I think the first cigar we had was an Arturo Fuente Maduro. I can't exactly remember which one. But I remember walking out of there, like we spent some time with the guy that ran the shop or owned the shop, and he kind of walked us through the tobaccos and the different types of leaves and wrappers, and it was just kind of hooked from there, like at the beginning. And I didn't smoke them as much throughout my life until I got into my 40s, and that's when I started really picking up as a hobby and getting into the different tobaccos, the different blends, different regions, manufacturers. I was just, I kind of took it all in like a sponge.
So you're a cigar nerd.
I am completely. Yeah.
I'm there with you.
Yeah. I enjoy it thoroughly. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It adds another dimension to the hobby. We're going to talk about Baker Street and the community here. But Shale, how did you start? How did you get involved in cigars?
Sure. So I was a bartender for a long time, and I've always kind of specialized in, I guess you could say, like the finer things, nice spirits, nice wine, nice cocktails, nice beer. And, at one point I was just like, what? I've never had a cigar. I enjoy all these good things. I hear cigars are good, so I should go ahead and try one. So I went to the local cigar shop at the time, Hickey Brothers, and I can't remember who was there that helped me out. It might have been Al Collins at the time, but he helped me pick out. It was a Nica Rustica, and that was my first cigar. And I tell you what, I struggled through that. It was good, but I just wasn't used to the nicotine, and wasn't used to not inhaling, I guess.
That's a hell of a cigar to start with.
It is, but to this day, it's still one of my favorites. And then after that, it just kind of grew. I'd kind of go back, on a monthly or my bi-monthly basis and just grab one to smoke. And then I think when I guess the dam broke was when I discovered Cigar Bid. And I got hit with that first bill for like $200 a month, and I was like, oh, I spent that much.
Welcome to the club, buddy.
Yeah. And then I got the opportunity to, be a part of this business through Eric. I'd served him for years, and he had known that I've kind of been into cigars. And after that, that's when I started really digging into it.
Nice. That's awesome. So you're both local to Davenport. Did you both grow up in Davenport?
Yeah, I grew up in Wilton, Iowa, which is 30 miles to the west. So, I mean, it's pretty local.
Yeah. In Iowa, 30 minutes is local.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So I grew up here.
All right.
And I've moved on. I'm in Cedar Rapids now. I've been all over. But I remember, so I think you're close to my age. I'm 45.
I'm 46.
Okay. So I worked at the Montgomery Wards in North Park Mall.
Yeah.
And so I would go down to Baker Street all the time, and I would walk in. I would love the way it smelled.
Yeah, it smelled amazing.
And then I'd buy cigarettes and I'd walk out. So you've been steeped in this for almost 30 years.
Yeah. I'd say, I started smoking cigars 18, and then sporadically I'd smoked cigars throughout, but I didn't really take the deep dive until my 40s. Or like when I turned 40.
I think typically, anymore, because there's young guys like you can't be more than 28.
29.
Yeah, see?
Very close.
Right. So
nailed it.
Anymore, like this used to be such an old guys club, especially old white guys like us, right? Like that's typically who smokes cigars, but that's changing.
It is.
And so do you guys see that a lot here at this location, Drawing Room?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, so part of our focus here, it's like community, quality cigars, and education. And along with Habanos, like up the road, we got together. We're like, hey, let's not cannibalize each other. Let's not like compete, but we're two different spaces. Let's try to grow the cigar community. And so it's effectively, we've seen a lot of that happening, like people that I wouldn't expect to smoke cigars. We have a Backwater Fitness right across the street. And so we have a lot of like CrossFit guys that will come in after the workout and enjoy like a cigar and a bourbon or a drink or something. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah, right. And so we've seen actually a lot of that coming through. A lot of the like younger generation coming in and getting in like intrigued with cigars and maybe starting off light. And there was one guy here. He's 30 and he'd been smoking like kind of the natural wrapper. And I gave him a first like a Saka Tricky Chaka, and he's like, "Oh, I get it now." He's like, his eyes kind of popped open, and he's like, okay, this is what you guys are going after. I tasted the flavors. So it's been interesting to see the community coming in and different people than you typically expect.
Were you prepared for that? And I mean that as a business owner, were you prepared to see as many young folks come in and from all the different lifestyles and different walks of life that come in and want to smoke cigars?
I wouldn't say I was fully prepared for it, but I've been going around, I guess maybe in the Quad Cities, because I smoked a lot of cigars at Hickey Brothers. So I was over there, often, before they shut down. And so there were some younger generation coming in, but I do think we've probably seen a bigger mix here.
Yeah. I would say, it wasn't something that we necessarily expected, but it was always something that we hoped for.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
How about women? Are you seeing a lot of women come in more than you would have thought when you first opened?
Yeah, we see quite a few women coming through here. So usually like with their husbands or boyfriends or, just coming in to hang out. We have, you met Celeste.
I met
she
Celeste,
works here.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
I was just going to say, when I first came in to do the review, which you can go to simplystogies.com and check out the lounge review that I did on the Drawing Room QC. It's a great spot, very speakeasy, very private club feel. It's fantastic. Check that review out. But Celeste was great, and I was glad to see a woman behind the counter because it does add. As a new cigar smoker a couple of years ago, when I would walk into a lounge, I would almost always feel uncomfortable, because I didn't know what was going on. And I can only imagine that women cigar smokers who go into a lounge feel the same way, because it is a lot of times, like I said, it's a boys club. So when you have a woman behind the counter, you're immediately at ease, especially if you're another woman.
Right.
So I think that's great. And she was so fantastic. She was very, very customer friendly.
Yeah.
Coming from a retail management background, like that's my big thing. Like, are you friendly? Are you talking to customers that come in? Are you making sure they're okay? And she was all of that.
Yeah.
And some. So
yeah, and that's our goal here too, is to make sure that everybody who comes in feels comfortable. We want to bring in, everybody, whoever is interested in smoking cigars. I think it is an intimidating thing, like you said, right? You walk in, you see all these different cigars, different wrappers, different brands, manufacturers, sizes. You don't know where to start. And so that was kind of the part of the education side of it is like allowing people to come in and just kind of easing them through the process, make sure they can like just take a breath and relax. They don't have to, panic choose, panic buy.
Right. Like, I don't know. I'll just pick this one.
Right.
That's the wrong. You chose poorly. You're going to get sick. Because you had that with the Nica Rustica, right? Where you kind of get green. And so
it's overwhelming.
Right. And so Celeste was great, but her knowledge base isn't quite there yet. It'll get there with time, as it does with every cigar smoker.
Yeah, we all start somewhere. Right?
And when I came in today, Brian's here. And he's fantastic. Like he's able, like he and I talk shop. That's all we did until you guys came in. Like we just talked about the industry. We talked about everything. And so I think it's a great mix. And this place is so great. What was, when you wanted to open this spot, what was your vision?
Well, actually, though, I guess the way it happened was I was looking kind of at with another local business guy opening a shop. And then we saw Habanos come in. And so we just kind of laid off of it. Right. And then found out that there were two people, Pete Stopulus and Jens Baker, who had already owned this building in this spot and wanted to make it a cigar lounge regardless. And so, like Dan Bush actually connected me with Pete and Jens and asked me if I wanted to be a part of this. And so that's when I came into it. So this was already established as far as the space. Now the layout, the furniture was purchased and the humidors were purchased. And so I worked with the layout and then managing the staff and bringing in the cigars. And so that was kind of the fun part of it. We don't have a huge selection, but it's carefully curated.
I want to talk about that too, because your selection, I even said in the review, like there's not a bad cigar in the place. When I say bad cigar, it's all subjective. Everyone's tastes are different. Some people love that Rocky Patel edge. I'm not that guy. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows I'm a boutique guy. You have a lot of boutique stuff. You have a lot of high-end stuff, and it does seem to be very carefully curated. Again, like if you're part of a private club, if you're a member of the speakeasy, you know what you're going to get when you come in. You should probably already have that knowledge.
Right.
So I think I think you guys have a great, so who picks the cigars out? Who does the ordering to buying?
Well, initially, Shale and I went up and we bought our cigars. We went through the selection together. And that was our kind of initial stock was Shale and I picking out cigars that we wanted. And then now, well, with the staff, like a lot of the staff, so we have 8 staff and all of them are friends of mine that I've smoked cigars with throughout the years. And so now we have a Slack account that we get on and we'll throw out like cigars. Hey, check these out. And nice. So I'll put in an order. So we all kind of collectively order the cigars. As far as like our interest in what we want to see.
So it's like a brain trust. Like, hey, we're all cigar smokers. Yeah. What are you smoking right now that you think is interesting that you want people to try?
Yeah. And we want to keep, since it is small, we want to keep it rotating. So it always piques interest. If you see the same boutique cigar that you've seen on the Humi, for 6 months in a row and you've smoked it,
why are you coming
all
back
the time?
in?
Yeah.
Right.
Let's mix it up a little bit.
Let's talk about what we're smoking because you picked this out, Eric. What is this? Because this is interesting. One of the more interesting cigars that I've smoked in a while. It's awesome. What is this?
Yeah, this is a Sinistro Habano Vieja, and actually this one I selected because it was a request of a customer, Jimmy Dolling, and he's been telling me about this cigar for a few months, and I finally was able to get it in. But this is a Habano wrapper, and I believe, and I might be mistaken on this. I haven't done enough research on this. There might be some, I know it's Nicaraguan fillers, might be some Mexican San Andreas there in the foot, but we would have to look that up.
It's a very interesting looking cigar. It's almost a perfecto shape with a shaggy foot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which you get the filler first, which I like. And then once you hit that wrapper, like that spice kicks in and you're like, oh man, what is this? It's a fantastic cigar. So I think it's cool that you guys kind of try to rotate your stock and get interesting things in to keep your customers kind of invested in coming back. I want to talk about community, and anytime we talk about community, I want to talk about social media, and that's your area, Shale. Mm-hmm. social media for me is a weird thing, and it's probably because I'm old, and I'm okay with that. But it's a weird animal, and a lot of stores, a lot of B&Ms don't do social media well. Can you speak to what you do on social media to try to, spotlight the drawing room brand?
Sure. So when I first started working on the marketing and branding for this space, I came up with 3 core tenets of what I wanted our social media to be. I wanted it to be educational. Wanted to involve the community. I wanted to highlight the
the quality of the space and the cigars.
The quality of the cigars. I'm sorry, and those were kind of the 3 tenets that drive the social media and the marketing in general. Quality of cigars, because I want us to focus on our selection. Like I said, it is very well curated. We have a very small selection. I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of cigars out there. We can't feature them all. We're not a cigar shop that can carry 5,000 SKUs. So we really need to focus on the quality as opposed to the quantity.
Right.
Community we wanted to focus on because really there's been a cigar community, but it's very disconnected and disjointed right now. So we wanted to kind of build that up along with Habanos. We knew that there was another cigar shop opening up, 2 or 3 blocks away from us. So we really wanted to focus on, getting in new cigar smokers and focus on just the community as a whole, because we think, if we're a part of it, we should give back to it. And then education, we wanted to focus on just because we think it's important, we think it's fun, we think that it enhances the cigar smoking experience for you. If you're able to, pick apart a cigar saying this has a Mexican San Andreas wrapper with Nicaraguan filler, but I like the Toro as opposed to the Robusto. We kind of wanted to highlight some of those nuances to get people interested. And I would say just as for social media and marketing as a whole, it's really interesting because you have kind of 2 camps right now. You have your traditional cigar smokers who love things like, Padron, Arturo Fuentes, right. And then you have your, I'll say, more new-aged smokers who are more interested in boutique brands.
Guilty.
And it's really interesting because there's this little bit of divide in the community. I think one good example is the Privada Cigar Club. They came out with that Elmo
the Cookie
Monster cigar recently, and it caused quite a stir on social media and
specifically
in general.
Reddit.
You had your traditional cigar smokers who were saying this is bad for the industry. This is this is what's going to make federal regulators crack down on us. But then you had some of the new age smokers saying things like, this is what's getting people excited about cigars. Padron and Arturo Fuentes have the same branding that they've had for 30 years. We need some innovation, and this is what this is doing. And I think there's a lot of parallels between what some of these more boutique brands are doing and what craft beer is doing.
I agree.
You're seeing with the fun labeling, the more interesting marketing campaigns, that kind of thing. So it is definitely an interesting beast to kind of tackle because I have to cater to both sides.
Right. How do you bring both sides together?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, bringing both sides together, you just have to sit down and smoke with them. I would say we've had a lot of traditional cigar smokers. We've got one member here who he mainly smokes Padrones, almost exclusively. But we've given him several cigars from boutique brands like Dunbar Tobacco and Trust. I think he's smoked a few Crowned Head cigars, and he's enjoyed them. Now he still goes back to Patron. That's his.
Well, of course,
that's his every day. But coming here, he's definitely expanded some of his tastes.
If your everyday cigar is a Padron cigar, you've done something right in life.
Right.
He's doing a lot of things right.
Yeah.
You've made it. Padron, Davidoff, you're smoking those every day. Congratulations. It's only downhill from here.
Yeah, good job.
Right. It's interesting that you bring up the Cookie Monster because the Cookie Monster was from Lost and Found. and it had been around for a while and nobody picked it up. Lost and Found picked it up, and then Pravada Club picks it up, and it goes viral. And all of a sudden, all over Reddit, all over these cigar clubs online, people are like, oh, I need to get some of that. I need to get some of that. How does that impact you guys? Do you have people coming in saying, hey, do you have this?
Yes, actually. And unfortunately, because that's, a Cigar Club exclusive,
Right.
we can't provide that. But I will say that it's a good thing that people are coming in excited about cigars. I think that's kind of what Cigars has been missing for a long time, because like you were talking about, it's kind of like an old boys club. Like it wasn't so much something that you were necessarily interested as much as something that you just went and did with your friends. Now we're starting to see people that are coming in that actually they want to experience these, new blends, these new vitolas. They want to dig into more of the educational side of it. And I think that's what marketing is doing with some of these companies is, they're getting people excited and interested in smoking.
You've mentioned education quite a few times, and I think that's what B&Ms really bring to the community. Anybody, you can train a monkey to order cigars online, right? But when you come into a cigar shop, you get that hands-on experience where you can talk to your tobacconist and you can say, hey, tell me about what's new, tell me about what's fresh, what are you smoking? And they can tell you about the cigar and really educate you. How do you guys train your staff to be able to do that? Because it's a lot. As a cigar nerd,
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
And and actually, so I was fortunate that a lot of the guys that I hired and Celeste, and there are two hires that were just recent that I didn't know personally before I hired them, but everybody else that I hired, we would talk cigars. We would Shale and Brock and I, Brian, Byron, Larry, all the guys, we would all smoke cigars together for, I think Shale was probably...
I was definitely the youngest,
Yeah,
the greenest out of everybody.
I would have never guessed.
Well, and he was the shortest relationship I had too as a cigar smoker. We'd only been smoking cigars for I think 2 years together. But he picks it up and he's into it and he really enjoys it. So the people here have a passion for it. So I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to do a lot of training because they had already, they've already done it themselves or they look into it. And we have guys that are on Cigar Geeks and putting in reviews. And so one thing that we did do, Shale had a good idea that we keep a log here. So we have a staff cigar. So part of the training is I give the staff a free cigar per shift so they can actually get to know the stock and what we have. And they go through the whole tasting notes, the regions. They try to understand that as they write through the review and try to pick up tasting notes. And it doesn't matter if you're new at it or if you've done it a million times. We're just looking for you to actually just kind of reflect on the cigar itself so
Right.
you can kind of think about it and take your time with it. And then that helps you actually explain it to someone else or describe it and think about other tobaccos. So wow, this Habano is great. I wonder what a Sumatra tastes like, and kind of branch out to the next one. It kind of gets the curiosity going. So along with that, I am working on my own personal outline. The tobaccos, the primings, the plant, construction of the cigar, the different regions and all that. And so
Like a Cigar 101.
exactly. And we do have books there, but I kind of like going through the actual process myself. So I'm picking up more, I'm learning more. And then I can also talk to it more intelligently to the staff or to customers coming in.
It's a hobby where you're always learning.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll never know it all.
No.
So
And your palate's always changing. So notes that you picked up when you first started are not notes that you're picking up now. Because before it was a lot of, I'm picking up chocolate and earth and leather. And now it's starting to get a little bit more nuanced. And you start, there's some baking spices in there. I can't tell you if it's nutmeg or cinnamon, but there's something there that reminds me of a baking spice.
Yeah, you try to define it a little better. You try to put a good description to it. And then another thing is actually I was bigger into the Maduro or Mexican San Andreas, but as we opened the lounge, I knew that I'd have to learn about, some of the lighter cigars. And so I started smoking the lighter stuff just so I could talk talk about it and teach people about it.
But do you like those?
I do. I like them all. There's not really a bad cigar, but like what Mike Dicka said, there's not a bad cigar. Some are just better than others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I think anymore, like if you talk about in the 90s, the boom in the 90s, like these fly-by-night companies, it's not like that anymore. If a cigar comes to market, there's a market for it. Like there's an audience that will be like, I like this cigar. I like it a lot. So I think it's a lot different than what it was. And like I said, you guys have a selection here that is not typical of what you would find even in smaller shops. In smaller shops, you would typically find a lot of your mainstream stuff. And you guys have Arturo Fuente, you guys have Ashton, you guys have Davidoff Padron. But you have boutique. You have a lot of boutique, and you have a lot of brands that aren't huge, right? Even if they're like JC Newman.
Right.
Everything here is at what I would consider as a higher price point than what you would typically find in a smaller shop, which I think is great. But does that, from a business standpoint, are you afraid that you're pushing people out from coming in? Like, are you looking for a certain clientele?
Yeah, I don't think we're pushing anybody out. I think like all of our prices are fair. They might be they're right around the MSRP, and
no, for sure. I'm not, but I mean from a standpoint of Johnny Cigar Smoker comes in. He's like, I want that Rocky Patel edge. And you're like, yeah, I don't got it.
Right. Yeah, we've had a lot of requests for acids, and I like, we don't carry infused cigars here, because the first thing you smell when you walk into a cigar lounge as someone smoking an acid is the acid, and I feel like it overpowers.
It does.
Everything else in the lounge, and we have a small square footage, so we like to cater to the customer, but at the same time, there's kind of a balance that we're trying to maintain.
And I would say that, obviously cigars are our focus, but I would say that we are an experience-based cigar lounge, So, no, we do not have everything. We don't have everything for everybody, but we have something for
everybody. Yeah.
And I think, we might be, $1 higher than some other lounges or some other shops, but we also are providing things that other shops aren't. And we think that that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to provide people with a comfortable, unique place that they can come in downtown Davenport for them to smoke, because there's nothing like this. As far as I know, there hasn't been a shop that's like this, in the past 20, 30 years, if not, since cigars were, since Davenport was a big cigar manufacturing town in, the late 1900s.
Which I want to talk about that eventually, because Davenport does have a rich history, but this place is great because it offers something different than what's here. And so part of community is how you deal with your competitors, quote unquote. And Habano is literally right down the road. Like I could have parked there and walked here. I can walk there. It's a 2-minute walk. How do you guys deal with that? Because you guys, there's a lot of places, I'm not going to mention any names, Des Moines.
Sure.
Where they don't get along. It's always button heads. But there are a couple of places like Lincoln, Nebraska, where the cigar owners are best friends.
Right.
And a rising tide raises all ships. And you guys kind of have that same mindset.
Yeah, we do. Like, and you hit it right on the head there. Like, the rising tides raise all ships. And that's kind of our mentality. We have 2 different spaces, 2 separate fields, and we just kind of have our space. They have theirs, and people are going to want to go where they feel most comfortable, And so we're not out trying to. I mean, we have our social media, we have our regular, that's just to promote our business, but we're not out trying to knock anybody else.
I think we believe that there's room for both, and we're going to lean into what we do well, and I think Habanos is going to do the same thing. Are we ever going to be that, packed sports bar style cigar lounge? No, yeah, we'll have the game on if people want to come in and watch the game, but for the most part, it's a pretty relaxing lounge. You want to come in, read a book, get some work done in the afternoon, it's a great place to do that. If you want to take, your buddies to a nice place after a nice steak dinner, this is a great place for that.
This is the spot.
If you want to get 15, 20 people together, and watch, the Bears game on a Sunday, Habanos might be the better place for you to do that.
Right. Right.
So just offer different things. That's okay.
Your furniture's more comfortable than Habanos. Let's talk about this real quick, because you talked about people coming in and wanting people to be comfortable.
Yeah.
We're so divided right now as a society. How do you keep that noise out?
Well, I mean, that's been difficult. But I will say all of the conversations here, given like the political climate that we've had, since we've opened, because we've only been open since September.
Yeah.
So about like 5 months now, obviously has been, pretty
tumultuous.
divided.
Yeah. Tumultuous would be
tumultuous. But it's always been friendly. And if it gets to the point to where it stops becoming friendly, then that's when, we have to step in and say, hey guys, I understand that this is, you each have your own opinions, your own views, but this is a lounge for everybody. This is a safe space. I respect all of your views, but let's cut this conversation off right now before we can't be friends anymore.
Right.
That's
awesome. And it's our job to manage that space. And I think our members and our guests, they pretty much get it. Our rule number one on the rules list, the lounge etiquette, as you come in, is number one is be a good human. And so that's kind of all encompassing. I mean, that covers a wide spectrum there. And so if anything gets a little chippy, we'll just have to step in or diffuse it a little bit. But I don't think I've seen anything really out of line or anything that we've really had to contend with.
Well, no, I think you guys have done a great job of cultivating the kind of culture that you want, from the decor to the cigars that you carry to the people you hire. It's all encompassing. And you've really cultivated a great community here. Do you think there's room in Davenport for more cigar lounges?
Absolutely.
You do?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. I think the more cigar lounges that there are, the more that people are going to pick up smoking, and the more that the better everyone is going to do. I think we both believe in the rising tides raise all ships, and the more cigar lounges, that means the more opportunities people are going to see cigar smokers or cigars and have the opportunity to try them.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I want to shift gears a little bit, talk about the industry a little bit. I think the industry does a lot of things ass backwards. If there was one thing in the industry that you could change, we'll start with you, Eric. What would it be?
Oh, that's tough right now. I don't know. I'd like to get some Liga Privada number 9 in here, but you have to sell like a ton of acids in order to get that in. And that's not going to happen here. We're a small shop. And we don't have that much volume, But I mean, that's one thing. Is usually you have to hit quotas, and I understand if you're a larger tobacco company,
right?
That type of thing. The cigar industry in general, I'd like to make sure that it's like open to everybody. That everybody understands that cigars aren't just for like old white guys, right?
Right.
They're for women. They're for anybody, like young guys, CrossFit guys, And then also like kind of understanding, I guess that's a whole nother story, is FDA. That doesn't have anything to do with the cigar industry, but there are some things that would be nice if some things changed in that area.
Yeah.
But not to get off on a tangent there.
Yeah, I think we've all been down that road, and the FDA definitely has some issues that they need to work out, and hopefully we'll get some kind of resolution on a lot of stuff here in the next year or so. But that brings me, and I want to get to what you would change here in just a second, Shale. But that brings me to, with the FDA, it's a lot of regulations and it's always changing, it seems like, with the FDA.
Yeah.
Like, were you worried about that when you guys opened this spot up?
Not as much at the moment. I mean, there were a couple times we might have been a little concerned, but I don't think it was a huge concern at the time. I mean, I feel like might be a bigger concern for some of the cigar manufacturers that have already, like, some people having to redesign all of their boxes, to make sure that they fit certain like FDA requirements. It's kind of like they're hitting small manufacturers and hurting them, and then not being able to like blend anything new within a certain area.
But isn't it ironic that what the FDA is trying to do is going to hurt small business when it comes to the cigar industry and cigar manufacturers, small cigar manufacturers especially? But the way that the cigar industry sells its product to small businesses essentially can hurt small businesses, because you're not allowed to sell an Opus X because you don't sell, X amount of regular Arturo Fuente. You're not allowed to have the Liga because you don't sell enough acids, because you don't sell acids.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Again, it's just ass backwards. The ironies can't be lost on you, is it?
No, it's not lost. yeah.
I would say, and this has to do with, the question that you were going to ask me anyways, which is, I think if I were to change something about the cigar community or the business side of it, would be just, I really want to see less of an us versus them and more of a we're all in this together mentality, because that affects every single level of the cigar business. It affects us here at the small lounge. It affects, the big, cigar shops, the manufacturers, the small manufacturers. Businesses really need to band together and realize that, like, hey, we need to be separate from cigarettes. We need to be separate from, cigarillos or like Swisher Sweets. We need to be legislated differently, because what works for these cigarette companies is not going to work for cigars.
No.
If you're going to charge, a small cigar shop or small cigar manufacturer, $50,000 per cigar line to just release a new cigar, they're not going to do it. They're going to go out of business because they're not going to be able to put it out. Stuff like that is just it's holding the cigar community back. And those traditional brands are always going to be there. They're always going to be present. So in my mind, there's no harm in them working with some of these smaller manufacturers to really build a comprehensive lobbying plan to help the cigar industry grow.
It literally pushes out ingenuity and innovation.
Exactly.
In an industry that's been honestly pretty stagnant for the last probably 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really has been. And I think until the last 5 or 6 years, when you see all these boutique brands starting to pop up, I think the smaller brands, it's really kind of like a bastion of hope for the cigar industry, and hopefully in the future, everybody will be able to participate and be a part of the, cigar community at the level at which they would like to be.
Right. Absolutely. Speaking of, you just made the analogy of small batch beer and that kind of thing. There's a distillery here in the building.
All right.
Do you guys work with them? Are you guys going to have events where cigar tasting and whiskey tasting?
We have a very close working relationship. So Pete and Jens own this building, and then they partnered with Chris Scott for the distillery, Artisan Grains, and partnered with me on the cigar side for the drawing room. And so the long-term plan is that he's going to be able to sell bottles over there, and then they can bring them over here. We obviously have to be separate entities, but
Sure.
But yeah, and then you bring them over here and enjoy a bourbon or a rum, while you're smoking a cigar at the drawing room. And so we're actually very close working relationship together.
That's interesting to me because it's different than a bar aspect. Right? When you walk into a lounge that has a bar, it has a completely different feel. I was talking with Brian about this beforehand. It's a completely different feel. But the distillery, it gives you a different level. And again, it just adds to the whole speakeasy, private lounge kind of feel that you guys have going on here.
Right, it does. Yeah. I think it goes really well together. It's like kind of a step up in a way, because you don't see a lot of that with cigar lounges and distilleries side by side. You know? And it's definitely brings a special interest to the lounge and to the space in general.
For sure. It adds another level, another layer to it. I really dig it. I dig it a lot. I dig what you guys are doing here. I think you guys are doing it the right way. So I wish you guys continued success. What's your favorite cigar right now?
The one I'm smoking.
I knew you were going to say that.
Right.
I knew you were going to say that. Like if you had a desert island cigar, you only had one cigar the rest of your life that you could smoke, what would it be?
Ooh, the rest of my life. I really love the Sin Compromiso, Steve Saka Sin Compromiso. Any of it, number 5, number 7.
It's whatever. Sin Compromiso.
It's a great cigar. Yeah.
It is. It is. What about you, Shale?
Right now, my favorite cigar is probably the Juarez from Crowned Heads. I'm just really digging Mexican San Andreas wrappers right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a great price point for that cigar. It punches way above its price point.
Oh yeah, $8.50 a stick here. How can you beat that?
No, you can't.
You know?
You absolutely can't.
You know, and I love it. Like, it's perfect size. You know, it's got some really fun, unique flavors that are really approachable. I just think it's a great cigar. I think I could give that to any cigar smoker.
Maybe not new cigar smokers. I don't know if I'd give that to like a first-time cigar smoker. You think?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I think you could. Obviously, it probably wouldn't be my first choice.
You could. I don't know if I would.
Well, if you start off smoking Nica Rusticas, I mean, you're fine, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you should just give them those.
It's all perspective. It's all perspective.
It is all perspective. It is. And there's not a bad cigar in any of your humidors. It's a fantastic selection. I want to talk real quick before we get out of here, and I get out of your hair so you guys can go do whatever it is you need to do. When we talk about community and we talk about bringing people together, what would it take to get a Midwest cigar fest where lounges from around the area are working together to bring in a spotlight to the cigar culture in the Midwest? Because I feel like a lot of time that gets overlooked. Like you've got Matt Booth on the West Coast doing his thing and highlighting the culture on the West Coast. The East Coast, I mean, the cigar culture's never really gone away. And you always have great, big, huge events on both coasts. Why not in the Midwest? We have just as many cigar smokers as they do.
Right.
Sure.
Right. I would agree.
I'd say, well, at least here, like locally and regionally to Iowa, you know, I think there are, you know, a few things that are kind of holding us back. Not to say that we aren't working on it, because we absolutely want to have a cigar fest in the summer. But you know, unfortunately, I think in Iowa, some of the, I'll say, bigger players haven't gotten along as well as, you know, we maybe have
Des Moines
like to see.
Yeah.
You know, if they were to be able to, they would be really huge in, you know, adding to that Midwest Cigars festival. Here locally, you know, we have had talks with Habanos about having a smaller cigar fest to start off with, the hopes of growing it in years to come and adding people. As far as like adding the whole region, you know, I think it's hard because, you know, you have all these kind of smaller Midwest cities. You know, you've got like Milwaukee, St. Louis, Minneapolis, and they're so far away, and just finding a good central location for that would be really difficult and really expensive to hold. So I think that it's going to get there. I think there is a big one in Chicago, which is what, the Big Smoke, right?
Yeah, is there a Big Smoke in Chicago? There's sometimes. I don't think it's like an every year thing.
Yeah.
I know they have a Little Smoke in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it will get there. I just think it needs some more time. And as a smaller cigar lounge, obviously we don't have, you know, necessarily the pull as some of the bigger places do.
I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that, because I think you guys bring something different to the table that honestly I haven't seen a lot of in the Midwest.
Sure.
The only lounge that I would even remotely try to compare the drawing room to is Safari in Omaha. High-end lounge, similar furniture, similar vibe, similar feel. It's just much bigger. But there's literally nothing that has this feel, this size, with your collection of cigars that you sell anywhere in the Midwest. So you guys, I think that you have, and with the distillery right next door,
Right.
I think you guys have more pull than you think.
Well, I think we have pull relationship-wise. I think just the issue as far as holding a large festival in the Midwest, inviting a bunch of people around is, more of, we'll say a monetary,
a logistical nightmare as
thing,
well.
Right.
Asking us to, even if it's only a tenth of the price, let's say it costs $500,000 to put this festival on and it's going to bring in, $2 million in sales. As us trying to put in, $50,000, that's a lot. That's a lot for a small cigar lounge.
Especially at a startup when we were just here, we just started up in September. But as Shale indicated, we have been talking with Habanos about trying to locally grow something here in the Quad Cities and then just seeing how it grows, taking it kind of small at the beginning and see what kind of turnout we get and put it out there kind of, well within our means, what we can start off with, see what kind of support we can get and go from there. I mean, you never know.
Right.
I will say that if there are any lounges or if there are any, other shops that would like to, that are holding like a festival or anything that they would like to invite us to, like, absolutely, we'll do everything we can to come and participate. Or, if we can't participate, we'll try and send some people up there to, be representatives of the lounge. We're absolutely open to doing whatever people are interested in.
Brian just brought up a good point. We have a lot of history here in Davenport as far as cigar history. I was
just going to bring that up. I'm glad he did.
And so, we could even have a focus of that, like in 2022 or something, where we kind of celebrate the history of Davenport because
somebody wrote a book. When I was here, Celeste showed me the book. Somebody wrote a book, The History of Cigars in Davenport.
Yeah.
Is that out now?
Yeah, Merle Vastine. We have it right here. He gave us Dr. Tom Olson, one of our members here, bought us this book from Merle, and it talks about the history of the cigar manufacturers in the Quad Cities. So I think there have been over 230 cigar manufacturers in in Davenport area. And then the most at any one time were 64 cigar manufacturers in Davenport.
Wow.
Like at one time. And so
this is a book I want to pick up. Were they growing tobacco here in Iowa? Or were they bringing it in from Florida, Connecticut, Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they were kind of growing in the Midwest region. I don't know about Iowa so much, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Because I feel like that's a great angle for a cigar fest. I really do, because there's a lot. It's a rich history. This book isn't small. I'll put a picture of it up on the website. You can go there and check it out. I'm going to pick this book up because it's a heavy book.
Yeah.
It's several,
pretty comprehensive too.
Full of pictures and history. I mean,
pictures are good for me. Reading's hard, but it's 300 plus pages long. So there's a lot of history here, and it's very rich, which surprised me that there weren't more cigar lounges around, and the cigar lounge that was here kind of fell into disrepair.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that you talked earlier about the community here being fractured. I think that just added to it, because there wasn't a place to go where you could, have a community with other cigar aficionados and enthusiasts, unless it was in your backyard or your garage, and God knows at 30 below.
Yeah. Then when winter comes around, it's a little harder to get together. And so we have a local cigar group here, the Cigar group, that we got together, and we'd always go to Hickey Brothers in the winter. And then once that kind of split off, we still did the whole backyard barbecue and cigars during the summer, but in the winter, we really didn't have a lot of spaces to go, so it's kind of nice. It is nice now that we have this and we have Habanos. We flip-flop in the winter, to different lounges for the cigar group. And actually, the same guys I was in the cigar group, some of those guys are part owner Habanos, and then, I'm part owner down here. So it's just kind of like we all still come together. There are some members of Habanos that are, or owners of Habanos that are members here. We're really collaborative on it.
Yeah. It's almost like a family, which is the way it should be.
Yeah, it is. Right.
It's absolutely the way it should be. And I don't know why more shops aren't that way.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, we were part of the Great Smoke, the virtual event. We were watching that this weekend, and Carlitos Fuente was talking about how important the cigar family is, and how it's just kind of a different group of people. That if people are enjoying tobacco, and like brothers of the leaf, sisters of the leaf, enjoying the rich history of it, there's just something that you can relate to with one another when it comes to tobacco, like premium tobaccos and cigars.
Did you have a hard time opening this place with the city council or anything like that? Was the city against opening?
No, they weren't. They worked really well with us. I think they like to see the business downtown and trying to get downtown Davenport, thriving. And there are a lot of plans along 2nd Street and the downtown area to really help boost us. And so like downtown Davenport partnership have worked with us. They brought in a Between Two Bridges bit where Shale and I would talk about cigars and kind of going through the selection and what to expect when you come into a lounge, try to educate, like an educational piece for the community, and threw that out on Facebook. So everybody's been really supportive.
You guys are smoking weed in there.
Right.
Yeah.
This is premium tobacco only. Right?
Exactly. There's a big difference. I have to ask, we're in the middle of a pandemic, hopefully maybe not the middle, maybe the end. What was it like opening up a shop in the middle of a pandemic? You had to have major concerns about, were you going to get people in?
Yeah. I had huge concerns on that. So we've been working on it for a year, I think since last September 2019 when Pete and Jens approached me on it. So I'd go through projections and go visit different lounges, and then it came to open up our doors in September, and it was a little slow, starting off. We only had a handful of members. We still had to buy, cigars and pay utilities. But then, I don't know, people just started really catching on, and people really enjoyed the space and started signing up. I think right now we have 23 members for the lounge, and the cigar community has been really supportive of this place. And so we appreciate that.
Your memberships are great because you have 2 tiers. Mm-hmm. And the first tier is $65 a month, and it gets you 24/7 access to the lounge.
That's right.
For $65 a month.
And you get $25 cigar credits in that.
If I didn't live in Cedar Rapids, I would be here all the time. You would have to you're here too much, man. Get out.
Right.
I would absolutely do that. So what do you get with the first tier?
Well, with the first tier, it's $65. $65 a month, $25 back in cigar credits. You get 10% off all your purchases, an additional 10% on boxes. And then, I don't know if I said the 24/7 access, of course. And then we have the locker membership, which that's $150 a month. You get $50 back in cigar credits. And then the same deal with the discounts and the 24/7 access.
There's also a 10-count humidor.
Yes. Yeah. You get a free Zycar 10-count humidor with our drawing room logo on it.
I mean, that by itself, it's not cheap.
Right.
So it's great for newer cigar smokers if you need a place to go, especially in the winter. We all know the Midwest sucks. Even Texas sucked this year.
Right.
It's 2020 WON, 2021. The weather's going to be nuts for God only knows how long, but I'm hoping that even when it warms up, you guys are still doing great business. You guys are obviously busy.
Yeah.
You've got people coming in. It's a great lounge, intimate setting. Like Shale said, you don't want to bring 15 people in here to watch a game. You want to come with a buddy. You want to sit down. You want to have a conversation and really just be a part of the community here in Davenport. This is the place to go. This is great. I absolutely love this place. You guys have done a great job. Is there anything you want people to know about this spot?
I don't know. I think you've covered a lot of it, James. We have a great staff that have a passion for this. We enjoy selling quality cigars, getting people into it. I think a lot of it is, I would say some people have had a cigar experience, right? And that cigar experience might not have been the best. It might have been like a Black and Mild. It might have been a White Owl, and they might have not picked the right cigar, to start off with. But I'd say if you've ever been interested, you think you've had a bad experience, give it another shot, and we do our best to try to give you that experience that we've had, that have continued our passion and kind of love for the cigar.
Right. Shale?
It was pretty much the same answer as Eric's. I would just say let us help you, let us lead you, let us get you into this hobby. It's not something that you have to do every week or every month or, whatever, you can
yes,
kind
is.
of go at your own rate, but it is a fun hobby. It is, a unique social setting, come in, have a conversation with us, learn about the cigars, let us help you pick some, some fun stuff out, and kind of, just try it out. We want new cigar smoker. We want people who've never smoked cigars to come in here and, be a part of the community. And that's kind of always been our focus, and that's going to be our focus. I think it is as long as we are open for business. So just
absolutely
come in and hang out with us and have a good time.
And I messed this up when I did the review, and I changed it 318 East 2nd Street.
East 2nd Street, yeah, that's
Davenport.
correct.
Yep, come in. Say hello to Shale, Eric, Brian, Celeste, whoever's here. They will help you out. This is a great place to be. Before we get out of here, let's talk about this Sinistro. What were you picking up?
Actually, towards this back end, there's still some spice. Probably there's some leather in there. I feel like there's a little bit of kind of that old world tobacco taste. A little bit coming through.
A little bit. Shale, how'd you like yours?
I really enjoyed it. Like medium, full body, nice kind of like rich, creamy cocoa quality to it, but with, like you said, like that nice kind of like baking spice, a little bit of leather, maybe a little bit of like not like a fresh wood, like a cedar, but maybe like a nice oak. I think this would go really well with like a nice like Highland Scotch or a nice like 8 to 12 year bourbon, maybe like some Elijah Craig small batch.
There you go.
Could also, if you want to go crazy with it, you could even try like a nice Cabernet. I think would go really well with the cigar.
I tried to get into wine. It didn't take.
Yeah.
So it's just cigars.
That's fine. That's fine.
It's just
I've actually gotten more into wine trying to pair. So
Seriously?
It's been one of the things that I've been trying to do is like I can pair with bourbon and scotch all day long. But then when people come in and say, well, what would you pair with this Cabernet or this Merlot and then so I'll try a cigar, and a friend and I will have like a wine night where we'll just like try some reds, and usually like a Mexican San Andreas kind of goes pretty well. Like
I can see that.
La Roma de Cuba Divino is a great one for that. And so
tastings in the future here, like, hey, bring in a wine, we'll help you pair it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give it our best shot. And so that's one thing we're trying to do is I've had friends like want to pair Nejo tequila, and so that's a tough one.
Yeah, and I think obviously,
but I don't mind trying. Yeah,
I'll give it a shot, but you can't hold it against me if it doesn't work.
But anyways, we've been pretty precautious, with COVID and everything. But as more people start to get vaccinated, things start opening up again. We're definitely going to be holding more events, things like tastings. I'd love to have like a cigar, like actually a cigar rolling demonstration or, something along those lines.
That'd be really cool.
Definitely going to be looking to do probably at least one kind of fun event every month, hopefully starting here in the next month or two.
Absolutely. If you're in Davenport, if you're in the Midwest, this is a great space, a great spot. Come down, say hello, check out the space. It's fantastic. You've got everything here except pipes, which I love because I'm not a pipe guy. So I really appreciate that. We are just Simply Stogies, even though we have a pipe review for some reason. But this is a great place. Come by, say hi to Eric, say hi to Shale, Brian, the whole staff, Celeste, whoever's here. They'll help you out. 318 East 2nd Street, Davenport, Iowa. Tell them Simply Stogies sent you. Eric, Shale, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, James.
Thank you.
And join me next time when I'm not quite sure what I'll be talking about, but I promise it'll be Simply Stogies. Stay smoky, friends.
Thank you for listening to Simply Stogies. Please rate and review Simply Stogies on iTunes. You can follow James on his cigar journey on Instagram at Simply Stogies Podcast, all one word, and on Twitter at the Twitter handle at Simply Stogies.